Nah. Welcome back to Tools and Track. In the end of our last episode, I set you guys a challenge. Tell me what we'd forgot for this car to get its MOT. Some of you nailed it in the head, some of you missed a couple of things, and some of you were completely off point. For example, reverse light. Don't actually need one for an MOT on a car this age. Good guess, but we're a little bit off the mark. Those of you running across the bottom of the screen right now who completely missed the anti-roll bar not being fitted, me included, yeah, that needs to get done today. So we're going to get this thing up on the air and get the anti-roll bar in good and proper. Also, there's a couple of wee things we've done to remedy that. But the one thing that we did forget, and those running across the bottom of the screen right now have guessed correctly, the horn. Yes, I've totally forgot all about the horn, and as it happens, it's not bloody working. So we're going to get onto that at some point. We've also got a lot of other things to do out with that sort of thing that's going to just make the car a bit more presentable. And having just test drove it, there are a few things that are wrong with it. Namely, I seem to have a clunk coming from the back end somewhere, and it seems to be binding. The person who clocked the brakes binding, running across the bottom of the screen right now, yes, on point. So I don't know why it's doing it, but it's just doing it. So we'll get that fixed too. So enough talk, it's time to take this thing the long and arduous journey to somewhere where I can use a ramp. So I guess the biggest new addition, which has nothing to do with an MOT, we probably should discuss, is this. You may have noticed at the end of the last episode, we were missing the old lower bumper splitter nonsense. That's because it didn't fit right, and once I removed it, it was absolutely trashed and held on with bits of, well, horror stories really. So we have opted to go for the June splitter because, well, I like it. Now, I was going to do a big thing of here's a splitter and put it on, but well, it's not a genuine one, so having fitted it, it's just on and no more and giving me the fear. And I've got a feeling if I take it off, it's going to, well, fall to bits. So I'm going to leave that one, run some self-tappers in, and that'll be ready for paint. You truly cannot whack a two-poster ramp when it comes to getting the underneath of a car sorted out. Very lucky that TurboTech next door have one and allow me to use it. So, what we're going to do here is do a back to front and try and figure out all of the problems we have had. So what we know from the test drive is there's a clunking coming from the back and there's a horrible grinding noise when we've got the brakes on the go. I'm going to go and just have a look and see if there's anything else. But I've suspicion that the clunking is probably going to be the suspension arms, so we'll just check all the torque on those and make sure they're all tight. As for the brakes, well, I'll need to have a wee dig around there as well and see what we can come up with. In the meantime, let's see if we can find any other problems. I've got to say, the back end looks good. Well, it bloody well should for the amount of work put into it. You can quite clearly see where that line goes. Hey ho. It's alright though, because from what I can gather, although it looks a bit shabby, the rest of the car is more or less solid. So it's had evidence of repairs in the past, clearly, but nothing that's going to cause me a problem with an MOT. Having looked here, I've got a small weep from the power steering somewhere. But the good news is, it's not terminal, and I don't even think it's bad enough to be an MOT fail. So we'll carry on with that and just take the advisory. A fair old bit of crust on the lower arms, but they'll live. They're still solid, it's just surface. Everything else though, whilst a bit dirty, looks okay. Engine, you'll notice these tubular headers, they came with the car, that wasn't my idea. And at least they do what they should do, which is not leak. So they'll do for the moment. We'll get a service on the go while we're here. I've had to buy rear bushes for the rear anti-roll bar. They also come with fronts, so we'll probably douse this and get it ready to change. Let's see if we can figure out what all my problems are. Also, we'll probably have to put some exhaust seal in here because I'm noticing this is starting to drip in the mornings when I fire it up. We've also got the cat as well to deal with. He's going to live somewhere up here, I would like to think. The good news is there's loads of room for it, so We'll probably take this entire downpipe off and do the choppy re-weldy and put it back on again. Let's get started. Straight off the bat, we've got a noise coming from the back, grinding under braking. Absolutely no chance there's going to be anything other than a mechanical issue. We're only going to find it if we take it off the hunt. The reason I look unhappy, because everything on here is new. I don't know why today, innit? So this is why I hope that forums never die. So I had a wee Google, just a very, very basic Impreza rear brake grinding kind of thing. It took me on to a forum that suggested that this might be the problem. And I think this is the problem. Look here. If you look very carefully around here, you'll see this silver on this lip here. That's evidence of a witness mark. It's took the paint off that I've previously put on. And what that says to me, there's a prime example there actually. Probably just pick that out. What that says to me is that when this disc goes on, a bit like so, as it grips and everything moves up when the brakes go on, it's pulling it into that. Now, where would that meet? Well, exactly where this shiny bit here is. It's not the most conclusive evidence in the world, but we do have a particularly shiny lip right here. It can't hurt. I'm just going to file it down and see if that fixes the problem. Right, well I'm not really going to know if that's fixed it until I take it a drive. So we had scrubbing brakes, but we also had a clunk. So let's get properly under it and see if we can find that. So I did say our hunt would most likely find more problems than it would solutions. And this is a case in point. This union that we made up for the brake lines coming out the rear. Check this, a little bit of weeping coming from it. That's not good, is it? So I guess we'll need to strip this guy off and get it resealed again. Hopefully that doesn't mean making up brake lines, because whilst the fronts will be easy to do, the ones that tuck under the tank will be a nightmare. And knowing my luck, the nightmare awaits me. That was easy. Nothing like just nipping up a pipe to solve the problem. Okay, on we go. I think I found the clunking noise. These work better when they're tight. Fanny. Right, another definite fail for an MOT is a leaking exhaust. I've never had gaskets on this when I got it, so we're just going to gun it up with some exhaust paste. This stuff is pretty basic. You just need to get it on, slap it on the faces, and then run it up to temperature. It bakes dry and seals up. So hopefully that'll stop it dribbling water. Sticking the wheels back on, but I'm leaving the centre caps out. Another thing on the to-do list was to tighten up the drive shaft, but I've not really done it yet to torque properly. So anti-roll bar, yes, we totally forgot to get that. So in the time that we took to not fit it, we have obviously overhauled it and got fancy poly bushy steel in the back. If you're wondering what that looks like, I'm not going to bore you. It involved lots of this, and I would say a good amount of that, and also for good measure, plenty of this. Now that that's obviously done, we don't need to worry about it anymore. Let's get it on the car. saying about the oil? Well, not a lot, to be perfectly honest. My initial concerns were it was unbelievably skinny, i.e. pretty watery. I didn't get too hung up on it because I had to run the car to make it easier to get the oil out. Since then, I've left it in the tub and it's now back to a more common consistency of engine oil, which is to say, pretty sludgy. I will say this though, it is not by any stretch of the imagination bad. Yes, it's slightly black, but please don't, think that's just the oil. The blue tub that it's in is also equally disgusting. All things considered, when it came out of the car, it was actually quite brown, more or less contaminant free. But that doesn't tell me much. The reason being, I don't know how long it's been in the car either. It might have had an oil change before it came off the road and sat with fresh enough oil in it for years and years. So we can't really determine much from oil that we don't know the history of. What I will be able to do is determine a bit more from the oil I put in it. It's pretty decent stuff. 20W50 I think, hold on. 10W50. So I know that that's the right stuff for the car. It should also do the right thing for the car. And we won't be leaving it a particularly long amount of time before it gets changed again. Checking the oil is the best way to figure out what the engine's doing. So I'm going to give it 1,000 miles, whip that oil out again and see what kind of health this engine's in. Until then though, nothing more to do really with servicing. Spark plugs are fine, car fires up fine. We just need to find out if it boosts fine. You didn't honestly think I was going to go the whole episode without fundamentally modifying the car somehow? Well, you'll notice that this gear gator has been absent for a while. That's because there is a replacement gator still somewhere in transit. I hate Brexit, COVID, etc. However, what we do have for this is a short shift. I got this fairly second hand. In fact, I got it from a friend who had an Impreza and now doesn't, and well, it'd be rude not to throw it on really, wouldn't it? So here's how you fit a short shift on an Impreza. It is easy, very easy. So we're going to need a pair of 12 or 13mm spanners, I think. Why did I say that was easy? Wrong, that short shift was not easy. Not even remotely. I don't know what the deal is with that little plastic cup, but it put up a fight. Nonetheless, it's in. Now for that last job for the MOT, the horn. Diagnostics time, electrical style. We've had a look down here and the horn is definitely connected. Now remember, we were working at the front and I did suspect that that might not be the case, but it is plugged in. So what we need to now do is check whether or not it's getting a current and that it works. So this is the relay for the horn here. I'm going to just bridge this out and see if I can get it to sound. It works. So we know that it definitely gets current and will do the thing. Luckily the fuse sits right next to where the relay lives, and having looked at that, it's good as well. Next up the list, maybe the relay's duff. Let's have a look at that. Okay, so testing the relay. We're getting a click click. So that works as well. Need to go further up the list. The hunt continues. I've not found anything obviously loose under here, which by the way, if you need to work out how to get off, watch some other YouTube video. T30s, one on each side, that takes the airbag out, and we'll see if there's anything obvious behind here. I'm kind of hoping there will be, because I'm running out of ideas at this point. And yes, the battery's disconnected at this point as well. Right, that's the airbag out of the way. Now, the horn assembly thing is pretty simple here. We've just got a big set of connectors here, push them down, makes a connection. One of these should have 12 volts at it. Nope. No volts to it. Let's see if it's possibly something to do with this really annoying little thing that transmits power through a tiny wheel, and check the plugs behind it. Well, I found the wire that feeds it. I've been trying to set this up so you can see the voltage when I do this, but it's impossible, so I'm just going to tell you, you can take my word for it, 12 volts. So somewhere between the feed wire and here, there's a wire missing. How shocked I am that somewhere in there there's going to be a bloody problem. Right, time to rip the wheel to bits. If you want to know the definition of stress, by the way, this MOT's booked for tomorrow morning. Is this going to come off? Nope. There we go. Oh, that f***s an MOT, doesn't it? I don't think there's any easy way to fix that, is there? And that's just complete and utter carelessness. Some days overwound this because you're only supposed to turn it so many ways because it's spring coiled. And they've popped it. Mint. Snaps. Snaps. Oh. Right guys, I've put all this back together. It isn't solved, obviously. However, we've got a solution. I've just wired into this thing that came with the new panel. It doesn't obviously work well, but it works enough for an MOT. One last thing is going to be the airbag light, but what I'm going to do is solder one of these in. This is an airbag resistor. Well, it's not an airbag resistor, it's just a resistor, but what it does is delete that airbag light. I know it's minge bag and it's going to be temporary. You'll find out why in coming episodes next. However, this will get me through an MOT without an airbag light on. So that concludes the MOT prep. I'm going to have to fire this up and chank it over to an MOT centre right now. So it's time for me to conclude and say thanks to everyone for watching. Thanks for following the project. We are not done, obviously, because there's more things to do, including prep for a track day, which should be interesting. All the Patreons running up the side of the screen right now. Thank you so much for the support. If you don't know what that's about, patreon.com/toolsandtrack. If you've just found this and you're into Imprezas, there's more to come, so like, subscribe, do all that jazz. And that's it from me, I'm afraid. So I will catch you next week, hopefully, with some thrilling installments, probably in a low cost though. Until then, drive safe, guys. Right, I've not connected the battery. That works. So we know that it definitely gets current and will do the thing. Aye, well, you know.